in the first however long it takes you, because I'm certain it's different for everyone. Like, you're trying to figure out why the fuck this person is the way that they are, and how you're supposed to like maneuver and navigate around them acting like that, because some of the shit that they do really pisses you off, and you're like, should I even be here for this? This is a freaking chaos world.
And he replied and just said, I'm trying.
Thank you, sir, for coming in yet again.
Thank you for having me, man.
This is number 3.
Number 3.
It's crazy, right? Yeah, like Von Marie was saying, that she was like, it's crazy that like this is gonna be his 3rd time.
Yeah.
That there are just repeats like that so far. You've been doing it so long that you have people that have been on 3 or 4 times.
You've created your own universe here.
Earl's World.
Pretty cool. Earl's World. Yeah, there you go. That's something to be proud of, man. A community.
I was on the way to work. Hold on, let me pull something first since you relax. Yeah, there we go. I was on the way to work and I had played Love Yours. And I thought about, you and me sort of in tandem rapping that.
Yeah.
Some of the lyrics for Keon. And I was just like, man, I need Brad's energy around. I gotta hit him up. So I texted Keon and I was like, yo, you gotta send me Brad's number.
I was so excited when I got your text. I was like, yeah, I would ask for like 2 minutes. I was like, yes, let's do it.
In particular, it was, I told him, cause then he had called me later on and I was like, we were talking to Brad one time and we asked Brad, I think it may have been Keon, a very particular question, which was, if you could pass down something to your children, what would it be? Do you remember what your answer was, by any chance?
I don't.
Your answer was perspective. Because you grew up around some people that, if, like, whether it be at college or whatever, and, you guys had money for beer and things like that. Like, there would be other people that were made fun of for not having said things or
Correct.
those resources. And you didn't want your children to be those people making fun of other people for not having.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's a real nigga answer if I've ever heard one to a question like that. And I was just like, yo, Brett, he's got to come back on.
I appreciate it, man. I was itching for the chance, and yeah, even with the perspective, not even making fun of kids, just not having that comprehension. Some people that don't have it like that. It's just like, come on, no matter how we grow up, we have to be aware of what's around us and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's why I love Manassas.
Wait, for people that won't understand that, what are you saying exactly?
It's just it's a melting pot of everything. Whatever you need, whatever you want. You got good old boys. You have every ethnicity. You have people from El Salvador. You have black. You have white. You have everything, and everyone gets along and fucks with each other. And it's just a vibe. It's its own little cultural pocket, I think. Area.
Yeah, we don't understand exactly how like blessed we are until people from other places come here and they're like, because I've talked to some people like, oh yeah, I'm from this place in Connecticut or Delaware or some shit like that, and not to shit on those places, I don't know what it's like over there, but they're like, it is just they just look like me up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So I came here and it's like, oh shit, there's so many more things going on. Is there anything in particular that you feel like you could do to pass that on, or is it just maybe simply them growing up in a place?
It's a little bit of both. You only have but so much influence on your kids to a point. I think my kids, I have a 4, 2.5, and 2-month-old. So we're fighting.
The 2-month-old. Oh,
2 months just out here. Yeah, killing it. So we're in the thick of it. Yeah. It's wild.
4, 2, and 2 months does sound like quite a lot of energy.
Yeah, exactly. Energy going always. But they're awesome. They're fucking awesome. But I think as a parent, you can depart and influence on your kids so much until a certain point. Like right now, dude, they're like little imprinted ducks. Whatever I say, whatever I do, they follow you around. But 10, 11, 12, 13, once they start making friends, and it's going to be their perspectives and stuff like that. So I think you can build the foundation. Things I try to do with them now is explain things to them, when they ask questions, try to give them the why behind it so that they can kind of understand and where it's coming from. When we talk about work, I try to express the value that every job has. My son right now, since he could talk, has wanted to be a trash man, wants to be a trash man when he grows up. And I'm like, hell yeah, man, they're helping people. They're out here every day. That's an important job. You know how much disease would be running around. So just impressing all those different perspectives and all those different whys behind everything. And even when my wife posted on his first day of school one time that he wanted to be a trash man, and some dude commented, was like, well, hopefully we can have some higher aspirations than that. And I'm like, bro, fuck off. First of all, he's 2. Fuck off, he's 2.
Wait a minute.
And if he wants to be a trash man, we're gonna be the best trash can. We're gonna be running from the truck back and forth. We're gonna be killing it. Yeah. We're gonna start driving the truck soon. We'll start managing some people. That's a hell of a career. Yeah, so
when you say do you know this dude?
It was a friend of it. It's a friend of my wife's family.
Oh, okay, yeah. This is some dude who's like, hopefully we have some higher. It's like, damn, yeah, that is interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. I was listening to this audiobook. I didn't finish it. It was called Bullshit Jobs. But it was essentially about the creation of jobs that truly have no real function in this consumerist sort of economy. Yeah, there's just you just get caught just doing things that the person before you or after you really could do. Like it's essentially they just made you a job, you know what I mean? Just to fill office spaces.
You're a widget almost in just the piece. You keep things going.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff out there like that.
And how people feel very just meaningless doing just having a job where you go in and really do nothing all day long, even though you're getting paid to do nothing.
Sounds like a dream.
Yeah, it sounds like a dream, but then you're in there feeling like your time is just completely being wasted.
Exactly.
And in that, they talked about how in some weird way, we started to frown upon the people that work hard. And I guess that's something that's been, as old as time now that I think about it. Like my aunt was telling me how she loves British TV. And, blue bloods, people that have had money for generations and generations, it's been frowned upon to work. Yeah. Like you don't work, your money makes money for you. You go to tea parties and hang out and whatever the fuck else you do. So it's interesting that working hard, like doing janitorial work, something that, like you said, keeps disease at bay, keeps
way
places
more important than what I do.
Nice. Because the last thing you want is that motherfucker not showing up for his job.
Because now that's the most important job in the place.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it's interesting how that flip flops, how we treat people that way.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I don't know where the shift came from. I guess it's like you said, the old money, it's frowned upon to work. And I guess that filters down through society. And we all want to look up to the next class above us and think that's who we are. But yeah, some of those jobs, it's the most important stuff. Plus, you can make hell of a living doing a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah.
And it's that's a good way if people are interested in being business owners and doing their own thing. You learn a trade, you learn a craft, you can take that anywhere, start up and get it big enough. And then you start training people how to do it. And then they do it for you. And then you managing things. And then it goes from there.
My dad used to run this business called My Local Merchants. So he would do his door-to-door shit. Like he would just go to the local stores and stuff in the area. And he'd go up to the place and talk to them and ask them about their marketing and what it was like and what they were doing. And most places didn't have any sort of marketing going on. And so he was taking it door to door. He was the person
hustling.
He's always been a hustler. Yeah. But he was the one making those little door knockers that, just
I feel like I've heard of My Local Merchant before.
Yeah, they're like
they're making that. Maybe I'm making that up.
Maybe that just hang on the doorknobs. You know? And he was on that early, and my brother and I, we were super duper young doing that shit with him, like alongside him, very young. And we would just fill up our backpacks that he also created, and we would just fill them up with all these door knockers. And like looking back, he took us into the hoodiest of hoods to go and put these things places. But I guess in his mind, it was like he wanted to find some seamless way of giving us perspective.
Exactly.
Of like, see, this ain't like when y'all go home, is it? Like this isn't like that. These pissy hallways, newspapers everywhere, the dudes on the stoop doing whatever it is they're doing. But it seemed to him, at least in those days, like hoods were a little different, where it seemed like they weren't fitting to really disturb these young boys running around clearly just doing some work.
Unwritten
like
code.
Yeah, like they just out there trying to sell drugs or whatever it is they're doing. They're not really worried. And so that was one of the ways I remember him doing it. I guess also for my little sister, he wasn't taking on those sort of excursions. She came up later on in life. But he would just drive, he would just take routes home, from DC to just show her, where my brother and I were running around doing door knockers. But those sort of rough places, just to give that sort of perspective, is just like because we're gonna keep cutting corners and go home. We're gonna take some roads, and by the time we get back to our neighborhood, just the whole vision is going to change. And you're gonna be like, whoa, like what the fuck is going on? That's so weird that you can just cut a few corners. And that shit is over there.
Blocks away.
So I think that's a real ass answer that you came up with.
Well,
and I think that's extremely important.
Yeah, well, it's an everyday struggle. So that's what I'm trying to do with these kids. But we'll see how it turns out.
What's going on with you recently in life? I mean, I guess you just...
just had a baby. Still trying to grow this business. It's definitely a challenge. It's a fun challenge. But it's an everyday. That's what I've realized over the past couple of years. Every single day you got to bring it. Because yesterday doesn't mean shit. So that, just enjoying my family, enjoying my time with my wife when we get it. So when we get the time.
Yeah. What is raising 3 like right now? Like how do you manage? Are you like the type to write stuff down, like blocks of time in calendars? Or is that like your wife is doing that? Or
I learned to be that way. So that's not my natural tendency. Now, every day you look at my calendar, everything's kind of blocked off between meetings or planning time or whatever it may be. But that's learned behavior. But my wife is naturally like that. So she kind of takes the lead with that when it comes to the kids. So we do have them on pretty good schedules. They wake up around 7. This goes for the older 2. The baby does whatever the fuck he wants.
Right.
The older 2 probably wake up 7:30. Eat breakfast, take the older one to school. Mom and the younger one do whatever they do. Come home for lunch. That's when I'll take my break. I work from home, which is nice. So I'll take my break at lunch, get them lunch together, put them down for naps. And then they'll do their thing in the afternoon. I'll go back to work till 5:30 or so. Get off, do dinner, bedtimes, all that stuff. So it's a lot, but we try to keep it pretty consistent and day to day. And then you just got to realize, like, you just got to drop your expectations. That's
number one.
You can't expect shit to happen when you want it to happen, when you think it's going to happen. That's just got to go out the door.
Yeah.
But it's funny. So just seeing how they're growing, and you learn so much about yourself when you have your kids, because you really learn to, I don't know about you, but for myself, you come up and you think these things about yourself, and you're like, why did my parents raise me this way? Or why did this thing work out? Or is this just who I am? Or basically what's nature versus what's nurture?
Okay.
So I think you get a lot of reinforcement through your kids about yourself. Like, okay, they're the same way. So that must just be how I'm born with it. Or, all right, I see this is how they are, but this is how I'm going to parent that perspective of them to try to make it a strength rather than a weakness or something like that. So you really learn a lot about yourself and through your kids, which I think is pretty fascinating.
Do you feel like in any of those ways, okay, so all right, so some ways you feel like, all right, maybe that was just born in me.
Yeah, exactly.
And then in your redirecting or guidance of them to try to make some of these things more of a strength than a weakness, do you ever look, I mean, maybe you don't even have the time to do this, but do you ever think, all right, well, maybe now that I better understand this about myself, can I redirect or can I guide something in myself to change it?
Basically, can I take my own advice?
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to, like even with my son. So, I'm a very chill, laid back person, non-confrontational by nature. And, in my growing up, up until probably a few years ago, that would lend me to probably get taken advantage of or, not be put in the best situations. So obviously that's an impetus. I see that my son has that same nature. I want to make sure that that's not something that he's going to let happen to him. I still want him to be the same relaxed, chill demeanor because I think that's a beautiful quality about him. But at the same time, we got to make sure we're standing up for ourselves when we need to. And obviously that's something I've done a lot better for myself and, past 5-10 years as I've become an adult. That just kind of gets reinforced through it with my son because it is easy to backslide into those old habits. So if I'm constantly reinforcing it in him, it by nature gets reinforced in myself.
Yeah.
So
Damn. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess like just being a mentor is not just good for the mentee. It's really good for the mentor himself.
Exactly. It feeds the soul.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right on,
It's
man.
wild shit.
What's story time like? You do story time?
Bro,
What are they reading? Are you reading like the classics? Let me get some wind going in here.
So we read the books and stuff like that, but my son likes me to make up stories.
Oh, he wants the shits off the dome,
bro. He wants the most like fucking realistic slice of life stories. Like, Daddy, can you tell me a story about us going to Target? And I'm like, all right, yeah, bet. I'm like, all right. One day we went to Target, and he's like, no. One day, Mommy said, Daddy, we need some pasta. So Daddy said, let's go to Target. Bowen, do you want to come with me? And then we got the keys, but first we had to put on your shoes, and then you bucked me in my. So he wants every minutiae just described and orated to him, and it's so fascinating. And he's like, Daddy tells the best stories. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. But we're literally like I'll tell him this story. I'm like, oh yeah, Daddy today he went to Earl's and we walked in and we talked and then we sat in the podcast and there was these cool microphones, and he'll eat every detail about that up and then he'll talk about it for the next few weeks. And then we'll expand on that story the next day. So it's funny.
And how old is this one?
He's 4. He just turned 4.
Yeah. That's interesting. My nephew will be here he'll be on the planet in March, I believe. And I was asking the mother if she has any thoughts about education and things like that going forward, because I don't know just how in detail people think about who their child is going to be and all that sort of stuff. But she said she was interested in the Montessori ways of thinking, and just kind of trying to let him be the guide a little bit, like figure out what he's interested in. Yeah. And I'm listening to you talk about this kid that just loves stories. What do you get anything from that? Like, do you think he's like his interest in stories like this? Do you think that, like, I don't know, do you think anything of it at all?
Yeah, I think it says, he has an engineer's mind from what I've seen. So I think he just likes to connect the dots and know about the little details, like you would like if you were doing like a specification. You open directions and you see these blueprints. Yeah. So I think that's kind of how he's seeing this stuff. And
because he's interested in like the layout.
Exactly.
Right. He's just like, no, we didn't just go to Target. Like, Mom needed pasta, which then caused this next thing to happen.
Bingo, why did this happen? And, as he's discovering the world, and, think back to when you were a kid and the crazy shit you would think when you saw something standard happen. So he just wants an explanation of that. So I think that's maybe where these stories come from, is maybe it's explaining some of the stuff that he had questions about throughout the day or something like that. But he's a fascinating little dude.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably never know what this is like, but
kids are a trip.
Keon started taking care of Jacory full time. He was saying that he would also have critiques, prior to him having full time custody, and the other side of the parenting. And he was just like, yeah, man, no, this shit's hard.
Oh, yeah. You forgive, at least me, I forgave my parents for a lot of shit. For my childhood. Like, kids' sports games are so fucking boring, dude. And I am just praying for cancellations every soccer game. I'm like, please let it rain, man. Please let it fucking rain. And like, it was raining like this one time, and they did not cancel the game for 4-year-olds. I said, what the fuck are we?
Soccer?
Soccer. I'm like, what are we doing out here, y'all? Yeah. Why are we out here? No, you don't want to be here, right? You don't want to be here. None of us want to be here. Why are we out here?
Right. It's like, it's not that impressive.
And it's so inconvenient. It's like 6:00 practices on a Tuesday. Like, dude, I'm trying to eat dinner. Like,
right.
So I get that stuff now.
Yeah.
As I'm on the other side of it. But yeah, parenting is hard. It's a wild challenge.
Yeah. I liken, talking about taking advice. JP, you know JP Boyce, curly head.
I'm not sure.
Fair skinned woman.
No.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, she would have been many years actually, I guess, beneath you because she was a couple beneath me. But she's been working with children, especially special needs children, for a while, and she says that it's very easy for her to play with children because for whatever reason or another, she's really good with improvisation. So whatever the kid is thinking or whatever world they're cooking up at that moment, she's in it. Yeah. She's whatever you talking about, that's what I'm talking about too. And I've found that thinking about adults like children helps a lot.
Yeah. Yep.
And I wonder if you have found yourself being more patient with adults, maybe seeing some of the same, some similarities between young children and adults sometimes, and being like, oh, you just whatever.
The number one thing that it has helped me with, I've always been a pretty patient person, so not too much there. But as I explain things and walk things through, and I have realized, oh shit, I told this motherfucker this thing one time, I should probably tell them 5 more times so that it really sticks. So that has helped me a lot at work. Just breaking things down very simply, reiterating things, going over the same thing 4, 5, 6 times. Being more patient in the fact that like I might seek to understand if someone does something wrong or if they're doing something I don't agree with, I'll come in from a perspective of seeking to understand why they did that instead of just like assuming that they're doing the worst.
Yeah.
So in those ways, it's helped me when dealing with adults.
Assuming that they're doing the worst.
Yeah.
These are wisdoms. These are deep wisdoms. Yeah. Never attribute to malice what you could rightly attribute to incompetence.
Bingo. That's so true. Especially my line of work, I do recruiting and excuse me. We work with candidates that are, they have very specialized skill sets. They have security clearances and stuff like that. But yeah, they just have so many options. So it's really hard to dig in to know what they're thinking. Are they really going to go with my opportunity? Are they playing us for something else? And just digging into those deals and trying to learn where people are coming from and speaking to them and just trying to, be aware of their motivations. And, are they just being incompetent? Are they not getting back to me because they are a poor communicator? Or are they not getting back to me because they're just trying to get an offer letter for me so that they can take it back to their job and get more money or whatever? And I'm not a priority for them, basically.
Yeah.
So trying to learn those things.
Yeah, a lot of people have those issues. I hear those words and that maps on to like personal relationships that I hear about. Like trying to understand someone's, trying to intuit someone's real intentions. Yeah. And that can be a tricky one. Something I learned from Malcolm Gladwell in the book Talking with Strangers is just how horrible we can be at judging other people.
Yep. Yeah.
Just how off we can be. And I think one thing that he says that he has learned, probably more salient than anything else, is that he has to give people time. Like he won't trust himself about how he feels about someone like the first or second time he sees them. Like he has to give them more and more time and be around them more. I don't know how much of a that opportunity you have and the job you have, like you might have to be moving like at a quicker pace than to just be giving people
we can't
a whole lot of time to hang out. But I've definitely tried to be more open to that when it comes to human beings in life.
Is Talking to Strangers, is that the one where they analyzed, I think it was Amanda Knox, the girl that killed her roommate or allegedly killed her roommate in Italy?
Yeah.
And they went through the whole thing, and she was essentially found guilty because she had resting bitch face. And they were like, you're not sympathetic. You clearly did this. You have no mercy, da 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 da. And he's like, judging somebody from their facial expressions and body language is top 5 worst ways to do it ever.
Yeah.
Just went into all the science.
Yeah, there's like a lot of myth. Like people watch like some Mythbusters and like some interesting sensationalized things about facial expression.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, I can tell when someone's lying and when they're doing all this sort of stuff. It's like, you're not like that.
Yeah.
Like you're really not.
You're not a detective.
You're really not. It's interesting. Like the things you think you're reading off of somebody, and it's like, you're just off. They're just cold right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever the case is.
Yeah, but and back to my job, it's like you can't put too much stock into what people say. One of my sayings I tell myself is just everything is bullshit until it's not. So people are going to tell you anything that they need to tell you to get the deal through the door, to get the offer letter, to get the interview set up, blah 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 blah. And that's on the candidate side, and on my client side, the companies with the jobs. And it's all bullshit until the stuff's actually happened, until the people are sitting down and meeting each other, until an offer letter is signed, until you have shown up for your first day of work. It's all bullshit. I had a lady a couple months ago. My girl, we were bonding. I was like, this lady is cool. We're talking weekend plans. She's like, oh, Brad, I'm going to the farmer's market. She's like, you know what? She's telling me like how she prepares her stews for the next week. She's like, I buy 10 pounds of this and that, and I put it in, and my grandbabies love it. I'm like, oh, we're locked in. She's taking this job. The day before she's supposed to start work. Funny, the day my son was born, the day before she was supposed to start work, she sends an email and she's like, oh, I can't take this position anymore. I'm like, I thought we were cool, man. I thought we were tight. I thought we had established a relationship enough to the point where you at least tell me, a couple weeks in advance and give us some time to figure something out.
Was that it? There was no explanation.
I called her and she was, her company offered her more money.
Oh, okay.
And she was answered my calls and, didn't ghost me or anything like that. Yeah. So I have nothing bad to say about her in that regard. But that was just kind of a reinforcement of the lesson. Everything everyone tells you is bullshit until it's not.
Yeah.
You can have this awesome bond and really like a person and really think you built this relationship, but everyone's going to do what they need to do for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's it, kind of in a nutshell was what I was trying to explain to some people, because they just had like a trio of people telling me I had trust issues the other day at work. And I thought it was the funniest assessment because like they were all on board. They were just like, oh yeah, for sure. I knew that as soon as I saw him. And like I was like, whoa. I was like,
I can spot it a mile away.
I was like, what is this thing that's going on between you guys? And they were just like, you don't believe that people like are gonna follow through with like plans and things that they say they're gonna do, like until they do them. And I was like, yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
Look at the evidence.
I was like, so y'all, because what they were just like, damn man, like who hurt you? And I was like, wait. I was like, so when someone says they're gonna do something, I was like, y'all absolutely believe them? Yeah.
Are they younger?
I was like, yeah.
That's the thing with age. Yeah, they haven't been hurt enough.
I was like, for real? I was like, so do y'all feel like there are probably millions of New Year's resolutions made yearly? It was like, how many of those do you think are followed through with? And I was like, and I'm not even saying that these are bad people. I'm not even saying that just people are like ain't shit.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there are ebbs and flows. Like people feel different things, or like you said, different opportunities arise. Like,
you can't take things personally too.
Yeah,
everyone's gonna look out for themselves at the end of the day, which is what you're supposed to do, I guess.
Did you watch Game of Thrones?
I did not.
Oh, okay, no. One of my favorite characters, Tyrion. He was a small guy. He was like the wisest of like just everybody. I just loved him, but someone had asked him if he trusts people, and he was like, I trust that people are going to do what's best for them.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
so I play to that. And he's one of the only motherfuckers that made it to the end of to the film, you know? Yeah. You were about to say something. I cut you off.
I lost the thought.
No worries.
But yeah, people are interesting. You can't control them. You cannot control people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even with people, some people are going to tell you what you want to hear and then do whatever they need to do. And some people will keep it real with you and tell you fuck off from the beginning, which I prefer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that control aspect is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Wanting to control people, wanting to control things.
Yeah. I was reading this book about the Lakers, about the Shaq Kobe Lakers. And they were talking, I think it was a quote from Phil Jackson. He was talking about the frustrations with Shaq and Kobe individually. He was like, the frustrating thing about Shaq is you'll ask him to do something. You'll say, hey, big fella, we need you to rebound more. Go down and rebound, bang it up. And he'll say, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Fuck you. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then he'll do it. You know, but he's going to let you know he doesn't like it. Yeah. But then he'll go do the thing.
Yeah.
But then Kobe, you'll be like, Kobe, we need you to pass more. And he's like, yeah, I got you, Phil. I'm going to dish that rock. I'm going to be diming out here. Da, 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 da. And then he goes out and doesn't pass once and shoots 30 times. So he's like, that's the frustrating thing with both of them. And that's just people in a nutshell. You know, that's just people in a nutshell.
That's funny. He's just out there doing his own thing.
Yeah. But telling you that he's going to do the thing you asked.
That's funny as shit. Wow. Yeah, you gotta learn people, man.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta learn people. Dropping those expectations.
Yeah. You cannot have any expectations. You gotta lock things down with people 4 or 5 times and keep digging, follow up. Why? Why are you looking for a new job? Oh, I want growth. Oh, okay. Is there anything about your current position that you can maybe improve on? Well, maybe the hours, I don't like it. My boss kind of micromanages me. Oh, okay. What would that new position look like? Oh, I guess, if I could work from like 7 to 3, 7 to 4, that would be great. And maybe a little bit more independence. Oh, okay. And how about salary? If I can get, 5, 10K more, I'd be really happy in a shorter commute. And now I really know what they need, as opposed to just taking that first answer of, oh, they're looking for growth. No, they're looking for these very specific things that will equal growth.
Well, you were trained on how to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I worked at a company called Aerotech, 2016. Worked there for a little bit, and then I took a job with a government contractor doing the same thing, doing recruiting, and just kind of wanted to always build my business in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I was eventually able to do that over COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how's the training yourself going now?
It's going so well. I had to hire a coach because what I learned is it's hard to train yourself. It's really hard it's not hard to keep yourself accountable. I think it's hard to define the standard and keep defining the standard that you need to hold yourself accountable to, because those change. And it's easy to slide. So I enrolled I'm in a coaching programs for people who own recruiting companies. And it's awesome. Yeah, I have every week we meet twice a week, so it's like a group of like 50, firm owners, all talking about our problems. So on Mondays, we'll basically go through our wins from the previous week, and then we'll plan out our coming up week. We fill out a form. It's called Win the Week. What conversations do I need to have? What projects am I trying to get done? What do I want to do on the personal side? These are the things that are going to define a successful week for me, which has been really helpful. And then we'll meet again on Thursdays, and that's more around mindset, professional development. So keeping our mind right, and not allowing, limiting beliefs to come in, or not self-sabotaging ourselves and stuff like that. And then once a month, I meet one-on-one with a mindset coach. And that's kind of where we talk through like, hey, these are my goals next month. How do I need to think about them, and how do I need to approach them to be positive, to make sure I'm going to achieve them? And then I also have a coach on the business side. And that's where we just talk strategy. Like, hey, I got this deal coming up. What can I do to get this done? Hey, how should I approach this? Hey, I'm trying to break into this new little niche. What are some ways I can do that? So yeah, the program's been awesome.
Damn.
But
you're putting in some work.
Trying to. But it's hard to coach yourself. And what I've realized about myself too is, some of my most successful times in life is when I've had a coach or I've had someone holding me accountable. So it's just what I'm trying to replicate now.
Having someone hold you accountable.
It's big. And a big part of it too is the peer accountability with that group. It's a whole bunch of other people that I got to report my numbers to. I'm not just reporting what I did. I'm reporting what I was supposed to do versus what I did. And I'm not trying to look like the guy who's not doing his shit.
Yeah.
Even though it's not like anybody's saying you're fired or anything, but it's still, just the peer pressure alone works on me at least.
Yeah, that's how it works for a lot of people. Just writing all that stuff out, like knowing what your knowing what your goals are each week, so that you can feel the necessary amount of failure that you need to
exactly.
feel.
And just the process of putting pen to paper and writing this down. Like, okay, shit, I said I was going to make 17 phone calls a day, and I have made 4. I would say I try not to do negative talk, so I'm not gonna say I'm a piece of shit, but I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now.
Like, why did I say 17?
Exactly.
Is 17 reasonable?
That's another thing. Is this a real goal? Can I actually achieve this? How, what are the blockers in my way? How can I move them, or do I need to readjust my my expectations and my goals around that? So, and it's helpful too. I'll put my personal goals. I try to work out, 4 times a week. I'll write that down. Okay, damn, Sunday night I need to work out, because I said I would do it. So that stuff is helpful. Just little basic things.
Very nice, man.
Yeah.
Very nice. So you're mostly, I guess, orientated right now. I mean, I don't even know how to say, because it seems like you're pretty well rounded. I mean, between like the family, the career, as well as the just exercise and fitness, or health. I should put it, wellness.
Yeah, it's all a pinwheel. It all, one feeds the other. If I'm not working out, I'm not thinking clearly. I'm not getting that negative energy out. Especially as dudes, you just have testosterone aggression. Sometimes you gotta lift some heavy shit or go run a long time until you're exhausted. And if I'm not getting that out, then I'm not going to be good on the business side. I'm going to be a dick to my kids. My wife.
So you can
I can feel the change. Yeah. My wife, sometimes she'll be like, you need to go downstairs and take 45 minutes and work out, please. I'm like, I don't fucking want to. And I'll come back. I'm like, hey, honey.
Yeah, that's you being Shaq.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. That's phenomenal. That I find it beautiful when you. How long have you and her been together now?
2014.
Oh,
yeah, 10 years in November.
Yeah. When you have a counterpart, like someone
that's
like knows.
I call her my zipper.
Yeah,
she's how a zipper. Each one is halfway. So we just plug in together.
Yeah, that's good. That's so funny.
Yeah,
that is so. It's so great. It's a beautiful thing, because I guess for a lot of people, I ask people about dating often because I'm just so fascinated by people on dates.
Such an interesting
working
interaction.
Yeah, like working as a server, like I see people on dates often. I'll be able to tell like when this is like the first one, like versus like, oh, they've been together too long and they don't like each other, or whatever the case is.
Or you'll see the old couple that don't even talk. She's reading his book and he's eating the steak.
Yeah,
but they're so happy.
Yeah, I was about to say, sometimes you start to just see all the nuance. Yep. Like sometimes they're doing their own thing and you can tell like they're happy with that.
Yep.
And then sometimes they're doing their own thing and they are very angry with each other.
You can cut it.
So it's all those interesting things. But I guess when people are trying to figure each other out in the first however long it takes you, because I'm certain it's different for everyone, like you're trying to figure out why the fuck this person is the way that they are, and how you're supposed to like maneuver and navigate around them acting like that, because some of the shit that they do really pisses you off, and you're like, should I even be here for this? Is this something I'm supposed to compromise on, or is this something I'm supposed to stand my ground on?
Question,
And so you're constantly having this thing until things just start to like kind of like, I don't know, plateau a bit, hopefully for you. And you just got to be like, okay,
find our groove.
Now we just got a groove. I understand you being a little bit of an asshole right now. And that's okay, because I know that this is just a moment for you, and you just need to do X, Y, and Z to get this energy out, or whatever the case is. For me, something Von Marie, and she makes fun of me about it all the time, is that there's something, I don't know if it's like an illness or something I have, or it's just like the way my mind is built, but she calls it sort of this philosopher's mind, where I like to let myself be whatever that moment is. I don't try to force anything. So like if I'm not if I don't feel like telling jokes at that moment, like I'm not telling jokes. Like I'm chilling. If I'm quiet, I'm quiet. If I'm loud, I'm loud. Like if I'm playful and trying to wrestle you on the ground, and that's what I'm trying. So it's just whatever. So she has had a very difficult time getting to know me throughout the course of the years. But then as of the latter years has been much more fun for her to just observe me now in all of my different ways. And it's very interesting when she'll leave me and I'm in extremely playful mood. Yeah. And then by the time she comes back, I'm like sitting by the window, like just like just looking out, and she's just like, oh, okay, and she'll just go in and start making some tea or whatever, and like give me my space. And then at some point in time, like now that moment's done with, and now I'm talking or whatever, and she's like, you're just so fucking hilarious, like you're so funny to observe. But it's great to make a relationship with someone like that, where they're not just constantly perturbed by your different states of being yourself.
Exactly. And once you build that good foundation, that's where you can get there. Like you said, you got to figure each other out and really learn each other. And it's like they might do something, and you're like, "Are they coming at me right now?" And then it's like, "Oh, that's just how they were raised." So that's. But once you have that foundation, you're right. It's so funny to just observe somebody and be like, "Oh, okay, they're being like this. Oh, you got low blood sugar. Okay, cool. Let's get you snacks, things like that.
Let's get you some snacks.
Even going back to the kids, my wife will say about me, she used to always get mad because sometimes I'll get lost in my own head, lost in thought, and I'll just zone out. And she could be talking to me, and it's like talking to a wall. She's like, "Yeah, I used to get so mad at you for doing it." And then I see Bowen does the same thing, and he'll just like be staring at something for like 20 minutes or just fixated on a toy. And I'm like, yeah, he's not zoned out. He's actually zoned in. He's like and I was like, I guess that's the same thing I'm doing. I could just never articulate it well. But it's so funny to observe, and then you get to compare and contrast and stuff like that.
That's some cool shit.
That's wild.
That's so cool. It's great when it works. Like I love when the like relationships work out because
it's beautiful.
Because people cut and run all the time, So like being able to have that patience and the I guess the will to sit there and like want to understand someone else, and I don't even know what the fuck it is, dude. Like it's very weird to me. Whatever it is, the thing that connects us and the intuition that tells you that you ought to stick around because it is worth it versus the last thing.
That's so true. Like, what is that? What's that criteria? Because it's there. It's in your head. Is it the same for everyone? Apparently not. Because some people, the first thing they'll dip out on somebody. Like the kids these days, what do they call it? The ick. Somebody and it's like, can he be a human?
Oh yeah,
like can she be a human? Like why are you backing out? No wonder, some people are so unhappy in every relationship they're with. It's because you have these unrealistic standards. You gotta let somebody be a human. You gotta shit with the door open. That's the way I like to think about it. The quicker you can get to that level to where you and your partner are like just farting around each other, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Now I'm really gonna learn who you are.
Sure.
All masks are off.
You gotta shit with the door. The quicker you it's very true. It's a certain level of comfort just doing and saying dumb, wild, nasty shit. Yeah, it's very true. And then for some reason it's like just all these paradoxes of life. It's like you think that shatters the image of like love and desire for another person. For some reason, you doing some weird shit
endears you.
It just endears you. It's like, oh man.
No, it's so true. That's I think that goes for all aspects of life too, of just people having flaws makes you more of an endearing person. And it makes people like you better, I think. Like, she walk around here with the little head wrap on, like she's Erica Badu. And I was like, oh, look at you, my little soul girl. I saw this stand-up clip the other day, and it was a black woman comedian, and she was saying how when she hooks up with different guys, and she's like, when I go home and take my wig off, I'll take my wig off if I'm with a black dude, and he'll be like, okay, little Bill, I see you. And she's like, we laugh, we have a good time, and then, we do our thing in bed. And she's like, but if I bring a white guy home, I take my wig off. He's like, first of all, you're beautiful, queen. But I just want to know, why didn't you tell me you had cancer? I was like, that's the funniest shit I heard in a minute.
I love the differences in culture. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's phenomenal. Yeah, man, it's beautiful. I love love.
Yeah.
I love love. I read this, there was a book called Daniel Deronda's, like one of those like classic like literature, like one of those like 18th century ones. I think it was written by, probably gonna get this wrong, but I think it was George Eliot.
Okay. That whole genre is a blind spot for me.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Either way, it's one of these long ass like 900-page books. Beautiful, beautiful story. But they would always have these little excerpts of like some poem or some writing before every chapter. And one of them, which was the only one that I guess really struck me, said something to the effect of, how am I to know why I love this person and this person loves me, aside from the fact that I am myself and they are them, you know? And I pondered on that a bit, because when people do talk about, there are some sensationalized words like ick, red flags, like people throw a lot, like
pop psychology stuff.
You know, I heard someone recently say like, yeah, like girls with guy friends are a red flag. It's like, you throw all these things out. It's like, all right, so for every chick that he meets that has a positive relationship with a man,
like red flag. Sorry, mom.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's off. Like, and that's gonna be a weird thing for him. But
and what a limiting belief you're giving yourself.
Oh, it's like the amount of women. All of the good ones. Yeah. That's the thing. Is all the good ones.
Oh, she works with a guy.
Like she has a story about a guy. Like, I thought of, you know, for women, it'll be like if he speaks about an ex. And I was like, damn, it's wild. Like, so all of those past experiences, I'm not supposed to act like they even had, like I even come from it. Like like I don't even come from anywhere.
Exactly.
I didn't start living till I met you, babe. And what would it say like if I spoke about these people, but I spoke about them in a beautiful light? Well, I guess to them that would be the red flag. It's just like, oh, so you don't even hate that bitch? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
we gonna egg her house right now.
Like that's it's such a wild way to look at relationships between humans. I can't even like get into it. I don't even scratch the surface of how crazy that is to me. But if you start asking the questions of what people want out of friends or a significant other, I mean, I could probably write you a decent list and it would fit most people. It's like, I'd want them to be intelligent, but not overbearingly condescending, right? It'd be cool if they were creative, but weren't all run around loosey-goosey, just too artsy and too, I guess, influenced and inspired by novelty, because then that just takes them at any point in time, anywhere.
You gotta be grounded in reality.
You gotta be grounded in some sort of reality, but I'd love for them to be a dreamer and think about things. So pretty much what they're saying is they want the yin yang. Like they just want a perfect human being. Like that's what it's going to be. I want them to be able to save money, but also want them to be okay with using money. Everything is just gonna be like, you want the balanced, perfect human being. Like, okay.
What is it? 6 figures, 6 inches, 6 feet, or whatever. Gotta have it all.
Yeah, sure. Like that would be great. So sure, like that's great. And so when you talk about those things, you realize that you're not really saying shit. You know? So then that's what leads you back to, what is that thing that really draws you to someone and makes you think like, man, I really ought to stick around. Like, because you're not really all of those things.
No one is.
You know?
And the sooner you realize that in a relationship, one thing, a big revelation for me in my relationship, I'm not gonna say this without sounding like an idiot. My wife's my best friend, right?
Love it.
But my wife's not one of the boys. I guess that's a way that you would put it.
Yeah.
That's two different things. And there's certain things I'm not going to go with her with. Not that I would ever, not that I hide anything, but there's just certain things that I'm not going to get from her. I'm not going to go to her to chop it up. I'm not going to send her these stupid videos. I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to send her a motivational text in the morning. I'm not going to talk about, baby, how much I just lifted, shit like that. Once you realize that you're just not getting all that from one person, and these are the things that you can expect from this person, this partner, and these are the things that truly matter. Are we aligned on these values? Are we aligned on this, somewhat aligned on this overall vision of what we want for our life? Okay, cool. Let's fill in the pieces from there,
Yeah. Allowing relationships to be like what they are with that particular individual.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are things where my wife and I, we watch trashy reality TV. That's our shit.
Oh yeah, like what? What are you watching? I saw something on a Roku television. It was a reptile dynasty or some shit like that. Or reptile. They make everything.
Yeah, and everything for everyone. What are we watching? We love After Lockup. I say this.
It's so funny because
proud.
It's so funny because like
proud as hell. They were
regardless of if you ever watch any of these, because clearly
you know what it is.
You know what it is. Love After Lockup.
Yeah, Love After Lockup. What is the premise? There's no explaining the show. And that one in particular, they had a dude from Manassas, so they were shooting all over Manassas, which was awesome. And it's like your typical trashy reality TV, but there's like one producer on it who this is my theory in my head, who is just like, I'm gonna wake y'all up because you've been sleeping. And he'll just randomly, there'll be like these 4-minute segments of the show that are just super deep and like very inspired filmmaking type shit. And then it'll just cut back to this trash. There was one of the people was deaf on there.
Yeah.
And she was trying to figure out when is her man getting out of prison. And she's deaf, so it's hard for her to communicate. So she's meeting with this lawyer, and you see her getting frustrated, and then they just cut the sound. And it's like, now you're in her perspective. All you hear is like slight ruffling of paper and kind of mumbling, and they're explaining this really important shit, and she has no idea what's going on.
Wow.
And I could feel the anxiety. I was getting anxious. I was like, yo, this is some next level shit right here, And then the next scene, it's like people fighting, outside the fucking Chili's.
Got to.
But yeah, so that's a show that we watch. Bachelor in Paradise. That's always a good one. That's one's always going to hit. Love is Blind, all those Netflix ones.
Yeah.
So
I think I've either seen that or I've just heard a lot of people talk about
the worse they make the human race, the better for us.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But no, it's good. We just laugh.
I know there's one about I think people like autistic people. I think
my wife.
It's like an Australian one.
Yeah, that one's actually awesome.
Okay,
it's cool. These people be living their lives, man. They're killing it. One about them like falling in love too, which she watched. But people talk shit on. This is my soliloquy on reality TV. People talk shit on reality TV like, oh, that's trash. What are you getting from it? And it's like, exactly, dude. I'm not trying to consume anything thoughtful. I'm not going to television to awaken myself first of all.
To awaken myself, to find enlightenment.
I'll go read a book or something. I'm going here to shut my brain off. So that's the value I get from it.
Interestingly enough, a friend of mine got me this book. It's so weird that he got it for me because I haven't known him for long. But I guess he doesn't know much about Taoism, but he just, for some reason, thought Earl.
Yeah.
And so he purchased it for my birthday. It just passed. And I just finished it. And he did a good job. That was good. Yeah, that was a good gift.
Nice.
But a lot of that is the perspective of the sort of anti-hyper-intellectualized world that we've become so accustomed to in the West. And more so a letting go.
Yeah.
And so it's funny that you say that, but like I'm not trying to find enlightenment through that when there's a whole philosophy and people feel like sometimes that's where you actually need to go in order to do it, is just to allow the experience to take place regardless of what it is, and that it doesn't have to be categorized as a good or a bad thing. It can just live.
It can just be.
And it's called the water course way. So it's sort of like, The more you talk about it, the less you get away from the actual idea of it. Is actually the idea of it is that it's not really meant to be
that's meta shit.
Yeah, exactly. But that the best way to understand it is to observe and to think and be one with water.
Okay.
In a sense, and that every moment is you are the stream as the stream is you, and there's no differencing between the two, differentiating between the two, and that whatever the moment brings and presents, you interact with that as naturally as you possibly can, and that is in some sense the way of the Tao. And so, sometimes it's not trying to go and read the densest of books to try to figure out what the fuck life is, or to try to open up your mind, because sometimes that only further complicates life and all these thoughts that you have about what to do, and all these expectations people have about life. Expectations are funny. Working as a server, people come into work, and any given day you have a certain amount of covers. Those are your reservations for that night. And people are very into knowing how many covers do we have tonight.
Really?
And I've never been that person. I never check the cover. I just go and I start doing whatever side work it is that needs to be done. And, and then when I get sad, I go to my table and I start serving tables. But people really want to know, like, what's the next, like, what's coming? I need to know what's coming. And this like constant looking forward into the future is a lot of the, it seems to be a lot of the, I guess, blossoming of people's anxiety currently, right? It's just like, what is happening? What's going to happen next? Well, what's next now? And I'm like, I'll ask people, like, when you go look at like the cover count for tonight, like, what are you trying to, like, like, what are you going to do with that? Like, once you figure that out, they're not letting anyone home, right? So no one's leaving earlier.
So this would be the people that
like other servers, like, like coworkers. I'll be like, I see you went and just looked.
They're trying to get a read on how busy we are.
Exactly. Like, you want to know how busy we're going to be. You're not going home any earlier. So I want to know, like, now what you're going to do with that information, aside from go and talk shit to everyone else about one or two things, right? Because it's going to be a myriad of things. Oh my gosh, we're going to be so slow today.
Exactly.
Oh my God, this is gonna fucking suck, guys. And you run around and you spread this miasma around of, oh my God, it's gonna be so slow. Why did they schedule so many of us? Why are we all in here? I should get a different job. Dude, I've been thinking about it, man. Like, my bro, he knows this place over here, and like, they're hiring. I might think, dude, can you send me that name? The name of, so they're gonna have this whole conversation, right? Or it's gonna be busy, and it's just like, oh shit, man, we're gonna get rocked tonight, man. I'm gonna make some money, and it's like, all right, cool, I guess.
What do you want with that?
People are like, I want to mentally prepare. I'm like, well, tell me what that looks like, though. Like, tell me, like, when you were saying you're recruiting and you ask the person, oh, what are you looking for? And they say growth. And you say, okay, well, what does that look like? And you start asking the subsequent questions to figure out what growth means to them. It's like, okay, well, show me what mental preparation looks like. Like, what are you now going to do to mentally prepare? And they're just like, well, I know we're going to be super busy. So now mental preparation looks like worry. I'm very worried. Very worried about tonight. Anxiety now, it's like, okay, so now you're just worrying about what is to come. And then if it's slow, then you're just like upset about what is to come. It's something very fascinating about what is to come that we have a very, very difficult time, especially in the West, taking ourselves away from.
And I think I think a lot of people don't think they have a lot of control over what is to come as well. I think we have more control over our environment than we think, even and more so the reactions to our environment. One thing I picked up in my mindset training is dealing with anxiety. And okay, there's an issue. Covers. How many covers do we have tonight? Oh, we got 100. We're gonna be fucking slammed. Oh shit, I hate when we're slammed. I'm gonna be stressed about this all night. one thing with the mindset training is when you do have something like that come up, is the way you address it. First of all, you just kind of catch it. How am I naturally going to react to this? This fucking sucks. Okay, let me catch that feeling. All right, I'm sitting with that. Cool. That's how I initially think. And then the next thing to do is, can I take action on this in the next 5 minutes to make myself feel better? Yeah. Yes or no? Okay, well, yes, that would mean, all right, I'm going to quit. I'm going to walk out and I'm going to feel better. See ya, boom, anxiety gone. Or, the realistic answer, no, I can't take any action to make this better. It's a busy night. It is what it is. Okay, I'm just going to give myself permission to release that anxiety. Just don't worry about it. Just release it. And it definitely takes training, but, yeah, that's one thing I think people can do. But yeah, not having control, that is not feeling like you have control over your situation, I think is a stressful thing for people.
Yeah. It's kind of, the book, as you said, is very meta. So unless you've, I guess, really taken time thinking about things, it's just going to sound like a book of riddles.
Sun Tzu says.
Yeah, exactly. Like Lao Tzu. Yeah, in this case. In Confucius.
Yeah.
So, yeah, realizing, acknowledging, and allowing the sense that you do not control things. You are not the controller of things, and that you are just one particle that is just in the ebb and flow of this thing. And the best thing that you can do is try to remain as present as possible to know exactly how to make it work for you in any given moment or not. So know, like, sort of how to flow with the stream, and when you are resisting the stream itself and what that feels like in you, and when you need to release that. That comes much easier for some people than it does others, just like in all sorts of things. Sort of like it's a fascinating sort of philosophy to think about, because I've thought about it my whole life without knowing that I was thinking about Taoism. Because sometimes I felt like education stifles like the pure enactment of something. Like someone could stumble upon something and start doing it, and they would do it just in a very fluid, natural way. But then if you put a bunch of these linear steps in front of them, now they're thinking about those linear steps as opposed to allowing themselves to just naturally do this thing. And you have to now work back to a place after learning all these linear steps and thinking about them and contemplating them and doing them for years and maybe 10,000 hours. Now you have to get back to a place of just allowing it to happen naturally. But I've seen people, especially on psychedelic drugs, shout out Keon, have a very, very difficult time letting go of control. And anyone will tell you, if you are ever thinking about, and even possibly doing high doses of edibles, if you are even thinking about you're going to be the controller of this universe and hold on to everything, and you're going to have a tough ride ahead of you. And there's just something about that lesson that I feel like is deeply, deeply profound too.
And I think too, with something people can do to help let go of the control, going back to define what I can control in certain situations. I can control my temperament. I can control if I have a smile on my face. I can control if I fucking smell good or bad, or if I have nice shoes. Let me control those things. And then if I really need control, boom, I have control of this. And now I can kind of go with it, wherever else the wind can take me, because I know this person within this, confines, I'm controlling this. So I'm fine with whatever else is going to happen.
Yeah. Redefining what you can control. My lady, one of the things that she will send me in the morning, because she enjoys Sam Harris, who's a neuroscientist and moral philosopher and huge proponent of meditation. And she takes his Waking Up app. It's a really cool app, by the way, because it's a meditational app. He has a bunch of, what do you call those things when people just talk for a long time? It doesn't fucking matter. He talks for a long time.
Podcast?
Well, yeah, those two. But I think they're just like little dialogues that he'll put up. And the app, you can pay for it. He requests that you at least contemplate donating, but he doesn't want a lack of money to be the reason why someone can't participate. So if you email, him or whoever's running that app that you can't pay for it, they'll give it to you for free for a year.
Kind of assign your own value to what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those trust-based systems when you go to like a national park or something like that, and it's like, just drop some cash here, please, if you can. It's going to help us, maintain this, which most people just walk past and shit.
Sorry, Smokey.
But she sent me one the other day. And funny enough, I was just having a conversation about superpowers with someone. But it is interesting observing what does seem to be like the closest thing to superpowers that human beings can achieve. And the noticing, as you were just speaking about, the noticing of one's own emotions arising and being able to observe them and do what need be done with them, as opposed to becoming it.
Such a game changer when you can do that.
That's a superpower, because you realize that most of the time you're walking around in a world where people, they just become the emotion that arises. They just become sad. They say, this person made me sad. This person made me angry. So you're just a slave to whatever emotion arises next, as opposed to being able to have it arise, observe it, say, oh, I am experiencing anger right now. Like, okay, this is here. Like, what do I want to do with it? Do I need to let this pass? Do I need to redirect this somehow? How can I sort of judo this energy and make it work for me?
And I think too, is a big thing is, like you said, you have to accept it first. You can't resist it. You can't fight it off. Oh, why am I angry? I'm not supposed to be angry right now. Now you're just going to get more frustrated, more and more angry. Or you can just sit with it. Oh wow, that kind of pissed me off. Okay, let me not react to it for a second. Now, what do I want to do with that information? Do I want to ignore it? Do I want to address this problem? Do I want to do X, Y, Z? But yeah, that's such a superpower. And even we think, when stuff like this, anxiety and things happen, our body also gives us physical responses too, that we have to be cognizant about. And, you got to know when that's happening. Oh, I can't sleep at night. Okay, why is that? What's going on in my life? What are the issues that are addressing? What or need addressing? And then also knowing when outside factors are causing are affecting our mood. Say take an example, you live next to a construction site or something. Oh shit, the construction site kept me up all night. The light was shining in my window. Now I got bad sleep. Now I'm not doing great at work. Now my boss fucking yelled at me. Now I'm in a bad mood. Now I'm stressed again. Now I'm going on 2 days without bad sleep. Now I'm real stressed. I'm just going to go to McDonald's. Maybe that'll make me feel better. Now I've eaten like shit and I feel even worse. All right, now I'm going into a third bad day. And that third day can turn to 30 days, can turn to 3 months, can turn to a year. All because of some minuscule outside factors. It's just important as you go through life, being aware of that type of stuff.
Yeah. Are you reading anything good right now?
Right at this minute, I'm reading a book called Rise and Fall of Nations.
Oh, that's right. Big history buff.
Yeah. This one is pretty fascinating, actually. It goes through like all, maybe 20, since the Industrial Revolution, maybe since the late 1800s, and it's just gone through why nations succeed and why they fail and what factors help them and what factors don't, and birth rates and natural resources and, diplomatic relations. It's really fascinating.
Wow. Yeah, I think that this has been one of those. Someone said to me that men think about Rome at least once a day.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I didn't. I mean, maybe I'm just not one of them.
I'm not a Rome guy, but
yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
I'm more of an ancient Greece, but
yeah, to the degree that women think about selling their feet once a day. Selling photos of their feet.
First of all, I tell my wife once a week that she's fumbling the bag by not putting these feet pictures online. Man, oh my god. That's private school right there. I would be selling my feet.
Yeah.
That's just
people call that pimping your woman out.
Yeah.
It's like
Gotta do what you
it's
gotta
like we just work. We're working
do.
together.
I call it paying the mortgage.
Yeah, we're working together. What are you talking about?
Trying to make it happen here. Come on.
But I do know that it has been on some people's minds. It's funny you say it's the rise and fall of nations because people feel like maybe the next one to fall is
us.
America. Yeah, did that at all catalyze? I don't know if that's a word. Catalyze your reading of this book.
Yeah, I don't think we're in that big of trouble right now.
Oh, okay, so that wasn't the reason why you picked up this book.
Oh, reading that book? No, I just found it on the app. It was
okay.
interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I get most. I use a little library app on my phone. So you finish one book and I'll have some recommendations, or I'll hear a recommendation, or my coaching group. We'll do books of the month and stuff like that. So wherever they come from. But no, that one, I think I had heard some good things about it, and then I just saw it, and it's been very good so far. Yeah. But no, I think America's okay. I don't think, I think we got a good head start on the rest of the world.
Okay.
That's where,
Yeah. Good head start.
We're good.
Yeah. I don't know shit about shit. I think people think about like the sort of internal damnation, not necessarily.
Oh, from internal, yeah. We might be fucked on that regard. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was a recurring theme throughout the book. Yeah, we could eat ourselves from within before we're facing any external threats. Yeah, you're definitely right about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do you feel like may be one of top 3 issues for us internally?
I think it's gotten better. I feel like I've noticed a swing the past few years, post COVID, Trump, whatever. We weren't talking to each other. We're not talking to each other. What J. Cole say? Our fear lies in our lack of awareness of the other side. We just have we just think that the other side is doing things because they hate us. Take an example, abortion, popular issue, right? I think people on the left think that people are disingenuous in their argument of abortion. I think they think that they are against abortion because they want to keep poor people down for whatever reasons. And I lean pro-choice, but I also get the validity of the pro-life argument. These people really do think it's fucked up to have abortions and to get rid of babies. I can see the merit of that, and I'll genuinely believe that's your position. I don't think there's any more to it if they just think that's just something they can't wrap their minds around of being acceptable. I completely understand that. And on the flip side, I think, the right thinks everyone's just a baby murderer who's pro-choice. Where obviously if you're pro-choice, you just think people should be able to control their life. Having a baby at the wrong time can really derail someone's life. You don't want to bring a baby into that negative situation. And I think that's a choice people should preserve. But I think on that issue and a whole bunch of other issues, we just have malintent for the other side. We think that they're always out to get us and vice versa. So I think that's probably one of the big issues in America right now.
Yeah. I think have you ever watched The Good Place by any chance?
No, I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's a great little, I don't know if it's like NBC show or some shit like that.
It's where like they go to heaven or something, right?
Yeah.
It's like a waiting room.
Indeed. And there's a character named Chidi. It's a black guy.
Yeah.
And when he was on Earth, he was a moral philosopher professor.
Okay.
And so he's like telling the guy that's pretty much like the king of this waiting room, which you could pretty much kind of call God at this time. Yeah. He's like, listen, I just know more about moral philosophy than you. Like, that's okay. Like, I studied this for a long time. Like, some of these things just have answers and you don't understand it. He was like the trolley problem. Like, you just have to understand. Now, if you or anyone that listens to this is not aware of the trolley problem, the trolley problem is, say you are on like a trolley or a train that's going down the track, and there are 5 people in front of the track, and you are going to kill all 5 of these people unless you pull a lever which changes the course of the trolley or train to only kill one person? Do you pull the lever to go and kill this one human that otherwise would not have died?
They were telling the other 5 to move
So that you don't kill these other 5 people.
Wow, what a conundrum.
Right? It's a conundrum. Yeah. And then if you feel like you have an answer to that and you feel like it's pretty easy and you're like, well, it's 1 to 5, you got to pull it. Like you just got to do it. Then the question is, now what if this person is the one person you love most?
Exactly. That's the thing.
You know? Yeah. And so they kind of like snap into the actual reality of him like in a trolley.
Yeah.
Like having and he's just like, what the fuck? Yeah. So it's a hilarious scene. But I say that to say, moral philosophers, like human beings that are moral philosophers, regardless of what age you want to choose them from, this age, you know, whatever, boy, do they got their fucking work cut out for them. Yeah. That is such a job to try with your mouth in this limiting ass language to try to encapsulate morality from a scientific, like rational viewpoint. Because if someone doesn't subscribe to your particular religion, if you're a religious person, because then you could just say, oh, well, I got the answers, it's in this book. Yeah. If they don't subscribe to that, then you have to try to do like really hard work to then try to figure out where you do get your grounding from in morality. Which I feel like is very, very difficult for a lot of people that are not moral philosophers and are secular people. Yeah. Which I think is another cause to rise of anxiety and depression in people, because the people just don't know what the fuck is going on, right? Because there is a lack of something greater in life that they're aiming towards and trying to serve. That shit, that's crazy. That's why, to me, the ways of the Taoists and the Buddhists, it seemed to make so much sense. That for us to try to wrap our minds around what is truly good and what is truly bad, as if they do not live together harmoniously in ways in which we just don't understand.
One is necessary for the other,
and they're necessary, and to extract one means to extract the other. Like it can't be any other way.
And what might be good for you is bad for me, vice versa.
Right. And what might be good for you might be bad for you later on, and vice versa. And so like trying to understand these things, and like the weight of that is immense. And so for lawmakers and people that want to be in these political positions, I mean, wow.
More power to you.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
because I'm sitting where you're like, I be listening to people and I'm like, yo, I get what you say.
Yeah.
And like, I get what you say. Like,
but you can't say that out loud.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's like, he's just like, no, you're like, you just a dick rider at that point. It's just like you just don't want to choose sides. It's like, nah, like I truly get what y'all are saying. Like y'all don't see eye to eye, but I understand what it is y'all are saying. I think it's tough. Like if somebody asked me my position, I'd be like, nigga, that's tough.
Hard, man. Yeah.
That's tough. It's not going to be a super scholastic answer you're going to get from me.
Exactly.
Nigga, that's tough.
I'm fucking trying. There was a few years ago, CJ McCollum, he's a basketball player, and he had tweeted something, and someone quote tweeted or retweeted him and was like, why don't you make it out of the first round of the playoffs? And he replied and just said, I'm trying. And it went viral. He just said, I'm trying, Jennifer. Like such a human response. Like, yeah, I'm fucking trying, dude. These other people getting paid too. Like it's just like, goddamn.
Oh shit. Oh, that's so great.
I'm trying.
First of all, it's a team.
yeah. And the other team they practice as well. They also practice. They got plays and shit that they run.
Like them niggas are good.
Yeah, they're getting paid to do the thing. But yeah, we don't like to give people excuses or credit for anything.
Shit. Oh, that's funny as hell. Yeah, that was made me think when I think like Simone Biles, she got a I don't know, the curse of the twirl, the twirls or the twisties, they call it, and she couldn't perform.
Yeah.
And RJ was in here telling me how there were just people going ham on her. Like, how the fuck you not going to, how you not going to rep America? Like, you going to let this small shit get at you? Like, we need you to get out there. And it's just like, yo, like.
You don't think she wants to be out there? You think she would rather get this hate?
Oh, man, people are so funny. That shit is so funny. It's hilarious. I think one of the funniest and best things that we have are, you know, humans being humans, right? So even people critiquing greatness, I think is we need that. We need it. We need it because it's hilarious, because it's stupid and it's hilarious and we need it. Because it's like, who the fuck are you, Jennifer?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. What do you do? What are you doing?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And when I can't stop talking about people critiquing J. Cole. Because I've seen, and you ought to be able to critique art, like, and critique things. That's what it is. Like we ain't heard one note from this nigga Simon Cowell. Yeah. Simon Cowell ain't never hit a note. Have you ever heard Simon Cowell sing?
But he'll talk shit.
Never. But he been on American Idol for 39 years. But I guess he does this shit, right? And I brought that up to Von Marie. He was like, but isn't he like a songwriter? I'm like, them people on that show ain't being critiqued on songwriting. They not singing none of their original songs. They're singing other people. He is critiquing notes. He is critiquing singing. So it's not to say that you have to do the thing in order to critique the thing. But you got to have some merit. You got to know
some background,
some what the fuck it is you talking about.
Yeah.
And so I've seen from like a Kendrick standpoint, it's either people feel like either I just don't listen to Kendrick because I just don't listen to him.
Yeah.
Or if you listen to him, it's like, yeah, that nigga, he's him.
Yeah.
He's
There's
him
no in between.
But with this J. Cole thing, he's interesting though, because it seems like either I don't listen to him because I don't listen to him, I listen to Taylor Swift or whatever, or I listen to him and he's him, or I listen to him and like I see why everybody puts him up there like he's one of the go-to whatever, but like he's also bland.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, that's interesting that there's like this other added part for him where he's like this bland thing. Yeah. And I just more and more have been trying to figure out through time what this is. As I've listened to him and I've talked to other people about him. What have you heard? What have you
I don't know
surmised?
I would say shit. All I can think of is that the RDC world when the new J. Cole drops. I love 21 Savage, and he's like, I don't even like this shit. I mean, it's kind of catchy. 21.
I guess.
Man, you could have this. I would think the critique of people calling J. Cole boring is that they are probably looking for something different from their music than to be woke. They're not looking to. There's some songs where
but Kendrick also pretty woke.
You think the same people that like Kendrick call J. Cole boring? I mean, Kendrick's got a lot more to his music, I think, from a production standpoint and the beats that he goes on. And he will change a song midway through, and you'll be like, is this even the fucking same song I just listened to?
Yeah.
So I think he explores a lot more that way. That's not. I'm a much bigger J. Cole fan than Kendrick. I like Kendrick. But yeah, I would. I think J. Cole's a lot easier to listen to. But yeah, people that are boring, I guess they're just looking for a little bit more from their music than the real introspective Cole. Because there's some shit Cole will write where I'm like, did he write that for me? Like, right. Other people aren't looking to get that out of their music. Yeah. They're either looking, for some shit that slaps, or just to some real artistic, out there, new wave stuff where maybe Kendrick or Kanye's giving that to them, stuff like that.
This is I'm gonna keep talking about this. I don't give a shit. J. Cole, he raps in a way that I think is sort of prolific. And I think because of the prolific nature, it comes across as easy or lazy or bland. So I'll say that to say, like, and maybe this is blasphemous for some people, but if you catch certain quotes from like Buddha or Lao Tzu or some of these people, they'll be real concise, real small, pithy, but very salient, very well understood things. They just be, but they be blunt, but it's like a J. Cole line. It's just very, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Very,
all you need to know.
It ain't crazy, but what one has to go through to figure that out for themselves and say it that way is where the profundity comes from, right? And some people might look at that and be like, damn, that shit kind of deep. And that's the same thing that I think J. Cole does. I think he just speaks in a way that is very easy to understand. And because it's not so decoded and you can just hear it and
There's
listen on
one or two layers to it. It's not 50 like Kendrick.
Right. So like on the first listen, you understood what he said. Because of that, people are like, oh, that nigga bland.
Yeah. Well, think about his song. Think about Lights, Please. Lights, please. Lights, please. Turn off the... It's a super simple song, but he's saying so much in that song. He's saying, I'm fighting this conflict between wanting to really build this bond and be, really get deep with this woman versus I'm trying to fuck, and that balance he's trying to strike. And he was able to do that in the chorus with two words, lights, please. Well, I guess I'm hitting these lights. At the end of the day, I'm going to hit these lights. And we all know what that means. Yeah. But to your point, we all got it on the first listen, and Cole's not gonna give you 20 voices on a song. He's not, I told you I killed a man at 16. Would you believe? You're not going to get that from Cole,
And on top of that, the other point that I always say that people overlook is the fact that if you listen to, like, if you just go pull up any of his lyrics, he's speaking in complete sentences. It seems like he's literally just having a conversation, but yet all the points where it needs to, it rhymes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not an easy thing to do. Like if you told someone to write an essay or just like write out what it is you want to say to someone, like you're about to go have a conversation with someone, write out what you would like them to know in the next 20 lines. Say it like you're talking to them, but make sure that it all rhymes and that it's nice to listen to over this fucking beat with this saxophone and these drums. Like that's very, very difficult thing to do. But he's getting across whole thoughts in whole sentences. It's very, very next level shit.
And to me too, one of the true definitions of intelligence is can you explain super complex things very simply? I work with a ton of people who just like to talk their ass off, and it's like they're talking a foreign language. Then every once in a while you get to somebody who's really with it and they are breaking it down for you like a 5-year-old. And then they can also talk at that super high level. And I think that's how Cole is. Like you said, you got to really go through some shit to be able to catch the feelings, analyze them, and now break them down and write them for a way that a 13-year-old can understand and really felt spoken to. I mean, that's genius.
Yeah.
It's wild.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah, that's the beauty behind like all the animated films. Is that all these people have found a way to get the parents, the teenagers, and the small children in the movie theaters together. Yeah. And it hits all these different levels.
Yeah. I was I just took my kids to see the new Trolls movie. And like you said, different levels. Like, yeah, it's a kid's movie, but Keenan is in there playing one of the roles. And he's trying to say he's not a baby, he wants to be a man. And he has this, what are they called, ring pops, but he's acting like it's a drug. So he's trying to hide it. And he'll be like, throughout the movie, hey, man, you want to hit it? You want to hit it? And then Justin Timberlake's character is like, put that away, man. We're out in public. Don't let them see. Don't. So it's like, jokes for the parents. Hilarious.
For sure.
And it goes right over your kid's head. But even I'll go back and watch some of the movies you and I grew up with, and I'll watch them again now. Like I'm watching Malcolm in the Middle right now. holy, that might
I haven't
be.
seen that in so long.
It might be as funny as The Office. It is so underappreciated. And I realized I told my wife, I was like, okay, if I was to describe my childhood, that Malcolm in the Middle. That's how I would describe my childhood. But like,
What platform is that on?
Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah, it's worth a watch. It's a good watch. Watch Jingle All the Way with Sinbad and Arnold Schwarzenegger around Christmas. Hilarious.
Just the fact that those two names are next to each other is crazy.
Dude, Sinbad was like gold in this movie. The funniest thing I've ever seen. And just putting on this A performance for these little kids that they don't appreciate it. But you definitely go back and see a lot of the hidden messages and shit like that.
That's dope. I like Soul with Jamie Foxx.
Yes.
You watched that one?
Yeah, not too recently. Yeah.
I thought that was such a good
That's a good movie. But I do have one critique.
What's that?
And this is my critique of all Disney movies where they put black people as the protagonists. They always trying to make them something not people. He spent the whole movie as like a little bubble.
Oh, does that happen often?
Yeah.
in the
The Princess and the Frog. Have you heard about this movie?
Yeah.
Princess Tiana. She spends the whole fucking movie as a frog. And it's like every single Disney movie, they do this. It's wild.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's super wild. And then what makes it even more frustrating is they create these amazing, beautiful worlds like Soul. The first 20 minutes of that movie, you're like, holy shit, this is a cool world. You're so immersed. This teacher, and he wants to be an artist, and they go up on stage, and they take you away from it for the rest of the movie. And I'm like, no, I want to go back to that place, you know?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. They're just up there. Everybody's just fucking jamming.
Exactly.
Having a great time.
Princess and the Frog, they did the same thing. They make this awesome black community from 1800s New Orleans, and they get all the dialect and culture right, and it's like beautiful for 15 minutes, and the rest of the movie she's a frog. You're like, what the fuck, man? Like, clearly y'all did your research. You clearly put the effort into it.
Yeah, y'all got some black people on the team.
Yeah, just make that the whole movie.
Damn.
But Soul is good.
Damn. I didn't think about that. That kind of undercuts what I was saying. But no, there's this part of the movie that I guess in various ways I've been speaking about on the pod, where whatever spirit that has come back to Earth with him, that character, do we know who that's played by?
The super anxious one?
Yeah.
No.
Well, anyway, so this character that comes back with him, she finds her spark, because the whole thing is like that, you're in the before life and you have to come and try to figure out, or you have to figure out your spark there before you can go on.
And he was mad because he had his.
Well, his whole idea, which I feel like for a lot of us as well, and this may have gone over people's heads, I'm not certain, but his whole idea is that a spark is like this thing that you do. So there was a moment when she was sitting on the stoop, clearly in his body, while he was like the cat or the dog or whatever that he had fallen into on accident. And so she's sitting on the stoop and she starts like looking around, and the camera starts panning around in like slow-mo, and she's like looking at a leaf falling, and she's looking at, some cars driving down the road, and just like random things just happening in life, just life happening. And she like tries to tell him, I think I found the thing. I think I found, and she was trying to explain it to him. And it was like the pizza that we had, the leaf falling, like these things happen. And he was just like, nah, like that's not a spark. Like a spark is like a thing you do, like music, you know what I mean? Like an instrument you play, or, painting a picture. He was like, what you talking about is just regular old life.
Yeah.
And then that's when they have like this conflict, and she runs away and he has to go find her and all this sort of stuff and bring her back. But that moment was powerful because she had found her spark, which she didn't think, and maybe I'm misgendering because this is just a spirit, but she found this spark in life.
Yeah.
In that things are happening, in just the experience of life, period. And that went over his head as a human. It was like, oh no, that's just regular old life.
Yep.
And that was such a profound moment that they just allowed to live and then moved on from it.
They didn't explain it.
They didn't explain it. They just moved on from it, because I feel like maybe doing too much, like trying to over explain that moment would have been pretentious or something in that, you know, but they just let that hang there for a second and then moved on.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that shit was deep.
Yeah.
That was deep as fuck.
Yeah, for sure.
Beautiful.
It is. And I think putting too much pressure on trying to find the thing and not being appreciative of just the moment. Like, even just, you got to reframe things. Everything is an opportunity, you know? I had a super busy morning before I came here. Got the kids up, got them dressed. They went over to my in-laws' house, had to get them out. You know, just had a bunch of shit going on. And I could be stressed from that, or that's an opportunity. Hey, I got these beautiful kids. I have a great relationship with my in-laws. My wife, she's happy hanging out with her. I have all these meetings. I have the opportunity to have these meetings. These are chances to build relationships. These are chances to get revenue for the company. I had an opportunity to come do this podcast. This is a chance to talk and chop it up. I've had a great conversation like this, I don't know, for forever. You know, these are all opportunities. And if we just are always seeking the perfect thing and not realizing what in front of us is beautiful, then you're just missing out. You're missing the journey.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's like,
it's always like that next.
Yeah. It's like when you start a new hobby or if you're working out. You know, I'm into cycling. And when I first started, I just, you know, you got to have this many watts. You got to be able to go this many miles an hour, where you get off a ride and you're mad that you just got off a ride because, I want to go 17 miles an hour and I went 16.8. Fuck.
It's like, dude, getting off a bicycle angry is crazy.
Literally, dude, you just spent 2 hours, beautiful day, just best day ever, beautiful weather, and you're upset that you didn't get this thing, dude. Just be happy. Just exist. Like you said, just exist.
Yeah, robbing yourself of that happiness is crazy. That's wild that we do that.
Yeah. For no reason. No good reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Constantly just looking for the next thing. Looking for the next thing. My mom was talking to me about how she's been doing yoga for a while. She's mad flexible. She's like probably one of the best in her class. And she's like, but there's this sense of peace that I have when I'm doing yoga in that class that I just can't seem to take out of the class and like just have in my everyday, you know, experience. And I was like, well, it seems to me like, one, it's awesome that you understand that you're feeling that experience ever in life. So just like, even if you're feeling it for that 60 minutes of class, that's cooler than 0 minutes. Yep. Two, that it's something that you know you want to exercise in the rest. Yeah. And you're, you know, trying to figure out what that means or how to do that. I was like, but you're having the conversations with yourself that bring that forth, you know? And this notion of the mountaintop, this notion of like getting there is so interesting because we are so hedonistic, it just never arrives.
Yeah, the journey is what we need to enjoy.
It just, every time you get there, it's like, well, what's the next? Like, there's a motherfucker that climbed Everest and was just like, all right, well, what's the next one? Or like, should I climb it butt naked now? Like, what's the next thing I do? So even like the literal mountain peaks ain't enough. Yeah. But there's always something. And so like realizing that has got to slow you down. Yeah.
There's a, I don't know if you call it a proverb or tale or whatever. This guy sells fruit on the beach. Just one himself, has a little stand, sells fruit one at a time, spends all day on the beach. When this businessman comes, buys some fruit, takes it back to his chair, eats it, goes back to the guy, says, oh my God, this is the best fruit I've ever had. Where you get this from? Oh man, you know, you could really expand this business. We could really do something here. Maybe we could set up a shop down the beach. Can I talk to your suppliers? We can really grow this thing out. And the merchant, the guy owning the fruit stand, he says, oh, well, why would I do that? And he's like, so you could build the business as big as possible and sell it. And he's like, and why would I sell it? He's like, I don't know, so you can get a ton of money. He's like, well, what would I do with the money? He's like, you could go retire and live at the beach and stay at the beach all day. And he goes, exactly. You know, he's living the dream. You know, he might not have the millions in the bank account, but he's setting out. I find that stuff in my own life. You know, I'm lucky I get to work from home. I spend all day with my kids. I get to I never get this time back as little kids. I'm never going to get this. I have to remind myself when I get stressed about work or this or that. And it's like, dude, this is what you're doing this for. You are at the goal. Appreciate the goal right now. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Yeah. The Alchemist is a really good book. There's a really good story about that, about just
it's just like this little shepherd, and he gets some sort of note or some sort of prophecy brought to him that is, if he goes on this journey, he's going to find, true treasure. There's a treasure waiting for him. This motherfucker is pretty much just going all around the world, just doing a bunch of wild shit. We're looking for some gold, like some gold bricks or some shit like that. He ends up right back at the place that he was at the very beginning, and just realizes like this was it the whole time.
Exactly.
But it's told in a much more beautiful way than I just put it. But as far as allegories and all that goes, there is this sort of Taoist one of an old farmer, and he has a horse. And his horse sort of gallops away, just like gets out of the stable and like leaves, runs up the hill. And that's like his only fucking horse. He needs that horse. Yeah. And his neighbors come over and they're just like, man, like that's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. Like that's a curse. And he's like, maybe. And then a couple of days later, the horse comes back over the hill with 6 more horses. And so now he's got a bunch of horses. Yep. And people come over and they're just like, this is a blessing. This is so amazing. Like, we're so happy for you. And he's like, maybe. Yeah. And then his son decides he's going to try to start riding these horses and fuck around and falls off and like twists his ankle. And then people come over, they're like, oh my God, this is so terrible. Like, I'm so sorry that this happened for you. Like, this is the worst thing ever. And he's like, maybe. Yeah. And then some people come over to try to enlist his son to go out to war and fight, but he can't because he has an injury, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, wow.
And so it's just this idea of us trying to grasp the idea of what is truly good and what is truly bad.
Exactly.
Is, as you were saying before, these expectations that you hold on things and you hold on people,
they will fuck you up.
They will fuck you up because you don't know shit.
Yep. That's the only reason you're upset is because you expected a result going into something and you did not achieve it. Or whatever you wanted to happen didn't happen. This person didn't do what you thought they would do. Yeah. That's where most of, people being upset.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's bigger shit that happens, but I think a lot of our day-to-day trivia or trivial things that pop up is just having expectations and then they're not met.
Yeah. And I, and by the way, I completely understand, especially if you grow up here, like you grow up in a society where things are bigger and better. Like you want more things. You want things to happen for you. Yeah. Like so that's the idea, that's the understanding that you have of what life is and what grants true meaning in life. So I understand why you're going to be, because the retort to that is, so what are you supposed to do? Just like not want stuff? Like not want, you know what I mean? And a rough answer is yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean? But then it's just, that's one of those things that, the answer being like this excerpt of, so what am I supposed to not want stuff? And the answer being, yeah. That's one of those Lao Tzu, J. Cole type of things where on the surface it seems like there's something in that, but you're not going to understand it. It seems like one of those riddles unless you do the sort of meta work and you really try to, understand like how that makes any sense. Like how can you live a lifestyle of not trying to do everything. And that's sort of like Aikido and Judo, all that sort of stuff where you're not forcing things. You're allowing, like in Judo, I mean, you fucking watch John Wick?
No, I've never seen that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's all that nigga does in the movies. Like, he's not striking anyone. It's so funny because it don't make any sense, but the fights are made. I mean, they're great action films.
Yeah, I've heard there's like 4 of them, right?
Yeah, they're great. And he's just judoing people. He's just taking momentum and using their force against
like the
themselves.
dudes on TikTok, they take the guns out your hand and shit.
Exactly. But much cooler.
Much better.
Much cooler. And it's that idea. I've actually, this is why I say I feel like I've practiced things and not known about it for so long. I sat in a coffee shop with a friend one time, and she was asking me, like, she was having a real hard time. She was like, why aren't you, like, making changes in this department. I think at the point it was like work to some degree. She was like, I feel, or maybe even with the podcast, she was like, I feel like there are things that you could be doing to maybe like push it and things like that. And I was like, like I don't,
not what you're trying to.
Just don't really feel like I just kind of want to have conversations with people.
Well, it goes back to the guy on the beach.
Yeah, like
why would I build it up? Oh, make all this money. Now I can have free time to have great conversations with people in my house. Oh wait,
So like when you understand that, you just start having a real great time doing that, and so it's exactly that.
Yeah.
It's like you might end up getting to a point where I think about the people that have created some craft and like it turned into some shit that they fucking hate.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, like I really wish I was back in my room doing it. I could have swore
it was more fun that way.
That it would have been better if I had been world renowned and all this sort of stuff. But now, like somehow I'm now trapped in a golden cage.
Yep.
Like, well, how did that happen?
Yep.
How did I get here? And now I can't talk about the things that I want to talk about. Or like maybe now I have these producers telling me that I have to like have these certain people on
or you're playing to the data.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, exactly. Like I have to play to this algorithm. You're right. Like I have to speak on these topics or whatever the case is. And I don't even fucking know about these topics. Like what,
I think too, a lot of the ways, we talk about society's gotten, everything's the same. Because that data, we see a data, 53% of people prefer XYZ. And then the person on the other end thinks 53% means 100%. And now that's all we see. And it's like, no, 47%, that's a lot of people that want to see the other shit. It could water you down. You'd have outside influences. It wouldn't be yours anymore.
Yeah, the ChatGPT thing, I was, my little sister was making fun of me because I didn't quite understand it. And
that's my best friend.
And I was like, it's a lot of people's. I get it. That makes a lot of sense. Mikey's as well. Mikey's hanging out constantly. And I was like, I don't know what I would use it for in my life. And then my dad was like, you may be able to use it in a way that'll give you the analytics as to what is being trended on podcasts and, what's liked, what people are talking about and what people want to hear. And as soon as he said that, I was like,
now it's not Earl's world.
It was like that has nothing to do with what I want to do at all. Like that's a whole different thing now. Like now I just have like these little blurbs, these topics of like, oh, this is what's going on today. Let's talk. I don't know nothing about it, but we're gonna talk about it.
Exactly. Or now you're every other podcast.
Yeah, like that's not at all what I want to do.
Yeah. No, GPT. That's amazing though. I think people think maybe it's a little more than what it is, but it can.
Oh yeah,
it can do a lot. I think it's more of an assistant than anything else. I use it for like a lot of admin stuff. If I submit a candidate to a company, I'll do a little type up on them, and I can just put the resume in there and my call notes and the job description, and it'll do all that stuff. Very simple things. I write a newsletter, so I might open up a Word document and just throw 500 words of word salad, stream of consciousness on a document, and no regard to grammar or spelling or punctuation or anything. And I'll put that into ChatGPT, and it'll turn it into like some nice, solid 1,000-word piece of shit. Something nice. So, people can use it to, you can use it and just say, make me something, and it'll give you some crap, which is going to be low tier. Or you can put some effort into the input, and if you put effort into the input, it's going to give you some amazing output.
Yeah, I actually do have it's like a little subscribe and like page after the YouTube video that shows up, and that was actually made by ChatGPT. My friend, my friend sent that to me, and that's like I'd say like I don't know, like my sort of heaven in a sense is me on a beach with a joint in my hand. In between two trees that are mango trees that are just perpetual mango trees. So every time you pick a ripe mango, the mango just goes right
perfect
back.
Ripeness
and it's the perfect just nectar.
Mostly orange, kind of green.
It's almost just liquid the way that you just bite into it. It's just that. And the same thing with the joint. The joint never goes. You're on a beach, but the joint never blows out.
Doesn't make you cough. Perfect hit.
Perfect every single time. Exactly. And so that's the place. And so they're now. I'll show it to you, but it's just that's the video or that's the image. Once the video is over, it's just me like on a hammock. It's like a silhouette of me on a hammock with a joint and like in between two mango trees.
No, awesome. Yeah, I think technology in a whole, automation and artificial intelligence, I think it's powerful to do a lot of the back end stuff. Make a website, make me a quick memo or a document or something. But anything that takes human to human interaction needs to be handled by humans.
Yeah,
that's my like your podcast. You would never let ChatGPT come up with your topics. First of all, even in this podcast, you can't come up with topics before it's conversational. Yeah, so you can't be like, "Hey, I wanted to hit on this thing." I know you're telling me about your trauma, but how about the Knicks?
I literally have no idea ever what's going to happen before I press that record button.
But that's what makes it special.
Yeah. I even got to the point. Well, I'm just taking the timestamps down. The only reason I don't crank these out at the rate that I would want to is because we're like too busy trying to put together these timestamps, like going through the episodes.
Now that is something you could use AI for, to where you can ingest the video recording and it can probably create those timestamps for you. That's things where some of that.
See that I may need,
but it's not taking away from the soul and the essence of what it is. It's just helping you with some busy work.
Yeah, because I'm about to just start typing up a very brief description of who the person was, how I felt about the conversation, and some of the things that we talked about. Yeah, and just keep it real short and simple, and just so I can get these things out quicker. Because that's really all I want to do is just put them out.
It's on the back end. It can help you with a lot of those processes. I think.
Creating time signals. I'm gonna have to hit Mikey up on that.
I've seen it too, where it can create transcripts. If you ever needed a transcript or if you're ever interested in that. I know from a business perspective, a lot of, if businesses have a podcast, they'll then download the transcript, turn the transcript into an article, turn those articles into social media posts, and do 10 other things off of this one piece of content.
Gracious. This is wild.
Yeah. But now you come into the problem where, and I've experienced this a lot in my business this past year. We do a lot of email marketing. We're all up in your inbox. But so is fucking everybody else. So how do you cut through the noise? How do I not land in spam? How do I not land in those other Gmail folders or whatever? How do I just get your attention to where you don't just delete me or you mark me as spam? How can we stand out? Because technology has made it so easy for everybody to do marketing and emailing at scale. There's so much more competition.
That's fascinating. This study of capturing one's attention, captology, is... They figured out that is the thing, is attention. Yeah. Like that's like everyone's fighting for attention. Yeah. How can I get their attention? Like there's only but so many hours in a day.
Yep. Yeah. And what I've realized too is it can't be a one and done. You got to consistently be there. It's got to be a steady, slow stream of always on top of mind, always trying to break through, Yeah. That's one way to do it.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I realized that with social media because they lie. And when I say they lie, maybe they don't. Maybe it was in the terms and conditions and I didn't read them like most people. So if you go to your notification settings in the actual app, it'll tell you like you can't take away notifications unless if you want to just have some. There are others you're going to have to take with them. Yeah. So I just say that to say like you can turn them all off.
They tie it to essential ones.
But exactly. But I just wanted to have direct messaging on because sometimes that's how I get in touch with people for podcasting. Yep. I just wanted to just have when someone's trying to send me a message, simple, just like a text message, right? And even just putting that on, I also had to have on just people putting up stories.
Yeah. It's wild.
It's just like, I don't want to know when people, I don't watch people's stories. Like, I don't want to know when they're putting their stories up. Like, why do I have to have that as well? You can tick off first. And it's interesting that this is even a thing because it makes you think that you're taking stories and likes off. It's first stories. So when someone puts up the very first story they've ever put up for their account.
That's wild.
Which, Why do I care about that? Like most people are just posting stories every single day. Those are the ones I want to turn off. Yeah. Not just someone's very first story of all time. Yeah. So it makes you feel like you're taking your stories off, but it's not. They still pop up on your screen. And it's like, yo, y'all are crazy. Like, y'all try to do anything to just remind me that Instagram's here for you. Like, you can click on us.
And I don't know, Instagram is, I don't have that, but like on Twitter, you go there, you see your notifications. Not one of those fucking notifications has anything to do with you. So-and-so just posted. So-and-so retweeted. They just need you to get some type of dopamine hit the second you open that app. Same thing on LinkedIn. Blah, blah, blah has posted. Here's an article you might like. And it's like, no, dude, I just want to see who, like you said, who's messaging me, who has looked at my profile so I can reach out to them. Those are the two things I care about.
Right.
Y'all can have everything else.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's got to be in the terms and conditions.
Oh, it is.
Certain of it.
Yeah. It's wild.
Did you watch any of the Black Mirror?
No, I've heard crazy stuff about it though.
Yeah, there was one about terms and conditions.
Okay.
There's ones about it was like people like just imagine like you're hanging out with the lady and y'all just like, man, let's see what's on Netflix. And you turn that shit on and there's just like a documentary on Brad. And you like, yo,
Yeah.
like what the fuck? Like it's your face up there and it's just like Brad is bad. It's like something like that. You're like, what the fuck is this? Like you got a documentary. I didn't know I had one out. Like, let's see what's going on. And they just got video and shit of your everyday life, like things you didn't know were being videoed and things being taken accounted. And now you going to work after that and people are like, yo, like we seen that. We seen your documentary yesterday. And you was like, yo, how is this even able to happen? And then you go sit down with your lawyer and it's like, yo, we got to sue these people. And they're like, oh, actually, you can't sue them because you actually sold your likeness to them when you subscribe to their, and it's like, oh shit. And it's like these people, these Black Mirror people are so good.
Yeah.
They're so good because they're just steps ahead.
Yeah, to where it's tangible. It's like, oh shit, is that tomorrow?
Just steps ahead.
That's here though. Okay. Here's something for you. So who's the guest you've had on the most on this podcast? Probably Bon Marie or Mikey or
one of them.
So you could do this now. I could take your podcast. I could take 10 of your episodes of you and Bon Marie chopping it up, talking, download those, get the transcripts, put them into ChatGPT and say, make me a podcast episode of these two talking.
Yeah.
And they would just take all of your information, everything they've learned about you from these 10 episodes, and they would create an episode that's not that far off. You know, it would be basic and there would be some shit where you're like, that's kind of what I would say, but you know, but it's not far off.
Yeah.
You know, to where you'd be like,
I remember when they did a Joe Rogan Steve Jobs one.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like the first iteration of that. And it was like, it clearly, as you said, it wasn't as sophisticated as a real conversation would be, but you were like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That sounds like them two.
Yep.
Yeah. That is interesting.
Yeah, no, we're not far off.
Yeah. The artistry part of AI technology and advancement is going to be interesting. Because for conversation, the thing is, I like what I do because of the waterway of it.
Yeah.
Right. So in those sorts of art forms, much more difficult to replicate. But for people that are much more structured in the way in which they ask questions and they pull topics from what is most trending and all that, it would be much easier to be able to put that together. But I know people are definitely afraid about just like, oh yeah, they might be able to do this shit way better than me.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you gotta learn how to use it before before it replaces you. But that's also my theory is the more human interaction something requires, the more vital humans are going to be in that. You know, so I think we're just going to see a shift away, the shift with what work is handled by technology and what work is handled by humans. And even in fields where technology is dominating, if you can come in there and be more human about it, you're going to succeed. Think, health insurance or something. If I can call up my health insurance company and someone answers on that first ring, that's huge right there. You know, that's something no one else is doing. And it's just little stuff like that to where maybe we can counteract it, make it more human on the front end and then let technology do the stuff on the back end.
Have you immersed yourself in any VR technology or do you play any games?
No, I'm not a huge gamer. I've done the VR headsets, a couple of times. My brother-in-law has one. But yeah, they're wild. I've read some articles and stuff about like the metaverse and all that. Yeah. I've read One, this lady, this is going to be a weird topic. It was talking about a sexual assault in the metaverse. And I guess this lady was getting harassed and got cornered and got sexually assaulted in the metaverse. Which is a terrible thing to happen.
What exactly does that mean in the metaverse?
I don't know. I didn't get that far in the article to tell you, honestly, but like she had the headset on and shit was going down. But then it's like, does that go down to the online bullying thing to where it's like, oh shit, take it all? Like that was weird, you know? But I guess it still happened. It's still traumatic.
So is this metaverse like a?
It's like it's the Facebook thing to where it's like, it's just their world. So you put on the headset and now you're a character in this world and you're walking around
with other humans that also have this.
Exactly. Everyone's a human on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The rules, regulations, laws around these things are got it. Yeah, because like if you do that in the metaverse, is that against the law? Like, do you get citations? Like, do you start getting like ticks? You know, and do you get banned from it from doing things in there that you shouldn't do in real life? Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, so there's a lot of changing shit.
I feel like that's a wild. See, like you taking trauma where you don't even need to. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that's not why I was playing a video game. Now I'm getting sexually assaulted in the game. Like fuck, man.
Happens at work.
Like like that's why I was playing the game to get away from these nasty ass things now. Oh, that's wild, man. Yeah, because you can. Oh, jeez, that's great. I was just having a conversation about. Like, well, we were saying learning wisdoms, but I guess it could be either way. It could be taking on traumas, just pulling data from what you feel like are not realistic points of nature, which is interesting because dreams are a part of nature. This discussion also encapsulates hallucinations, so I should put psychedelics in this world as well. Is people will discount psychedelic drugs in lessons and things that people get from them because they'll say, well, that's not real.
Yeah.
It's not a real thing that you're dealing with. And the idea of real becomes very interesting. And I would say, well, if you came up with an idea in your dream, like you went to sleep, you woke up with a new idea because you saw some shit in a dream. It wasn't there. It didn't present itself to you, or maybe at least not consciously before you went to sleep that night. But it came up in your dream. And then you used that idea to do something, to create something, whether it be a song or a business or something you wanted to say to someone. Like, is that not real?
Yeah.
Or does it only become real when you apply it to something?
No, it's definitely real in that dream.
Right.
So it's still a product of your mind.
Right. So someone was telling me a dream they had where like they were having to get on a ship and like get away from a city because I think a zombie apocalypse had broken out. And like, but their mom had been bit, so their mom had to stay behind. And like they were like letting their mom go as they were like on a ship, like sailing away. Jesus. And she just had like fucking wake herself up. And she was like, that was traumatic as fuck. Like what just happened. Like I couldn't just sit there and be there for that. Like I legitimately woke myself up by like trying to slap myself in my dream. And she woke up with her hand like in her face about to slap herself. And I was like, man, this shit is interesting because like, I wonder like the wisdoms that you could take away if you decided to sit there and feel that. If you decided to sit there, it's like, I haven't had to go away on a ship in a zombie apocalypse, but I did in my dream once. And I sat there and I watched as my mom got taken away by zombies and I was floating away. And like, so it didn't happen in real life, but I was there for that shit and I felt it. And I'm able to do whatever it is I can. Maybe I write a poem about it or write a song or create that in a video or something like that. So I just say it to say this metaverse shit about to get weird.
Yeah.
Because who knows what type of world people are going to be creating and doing and how that translates back into their life when they come back out to hang out with the rest of us.
Yeah.
In real time.
I mean, shit, it's going to be weird. We already see it. People get radicalized online all the time and stuff like that.
Oh, true.
I think it's going to be even worse in the metaverse.
Yeah.
'Cause now it's going to be even more
Yeah, because you like don't give a fuck because it's not real.
Yeah.
So like you do things that you wouldn't normally do, and then that becomes a bit more normal to you.
Exactly. I can go run around being an asshole in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Now I can do it in real life.
Yeah, then you come out and you're a little more desensitized. And you come
saying
out,
things with your chest a little more.
Yeah. It's like, nigga, where'd you get this confidence from?
The metaverse.
That's interesting. I kind of want to. This is where an Inception was ahead of their time. Like going into these little speakeasies where people could just kind of like slip into these beds and like go to sleep and just go into their dream world for the next 40 years. Like Leonardo DiCaprio, he was off with his wife, having a whole life, built a whole world, lived a whole lifetime, and then got brought back to life.
I think that's something when people are depressed, you hear them say a lot, I just want to go to sleep. Yeah, because you can have that good world in your sleep. At least that 8, 10, 12 hours you're sleeping if you're depressed. At least that shit is lit, you know?
Yeah. Sleep do be good when you can get it. It saddens me when people talk about the amount of sleep they don't get.
Yeah.
Like people are just like, oh yeah, nah, like it takes me 3 to 4 hours to go to sleep. Or like I don't go to sleep. I haven't been asleep in days.
Or people take pride in not sleeping.
Oh yeah.
I only sleep 3 hours a night. Is everything okay?
Yeah. I don't know what that lifestyle is like. I know some people. I mean, I'm certain. Certain people's batteries are different than others. But I don't. I just 3 hours a night, 4 hours a night, and I do know people that live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Usually it's a younger thing.
Yeah.
It's easier to do that, to like drink. Drink until 5, 6 a.m. in the morning and just get up and do it again. I remember it.
Yep.
I don't know how.
Dude, I could go like sleep for 20 minutes and then go wake up and work a shift at Old Navy or something.
Dude, it's so crazy.
Reeking of alcohol.
Yeah. I would just have people on standby with Adderalls.
Yep.
And I just pop an Adderall and be like, I'm good to go for the day.
Yeah, I used to work at Stonewall Pool. And we would do the swim lessons. The swim lessons started at like 5 in the morning on Saturdays. And we would all get there, everyone in the same boat. Most of us were probably at the same party. And we would have a chair set up in the corner where no one could see. And that would be like your turn to sleep. So it's like we do your rotation and then you get to go in the chair for 15 minutes. And then, exactly. Oh. You have superpowers when you're young. It's so true. Youth is wasted on the young. Think if you had the energy, think if you only had to sleep 3-4 hours nowadays, what you would get done, the activities you would do, just like the shit you would accomplish.
Do you think wisdom is wasted on the elderly?
No, because wisdom's earned, I think. No one wakes up wise. It's a lot of mistakes. Yeah. Either learning from others, hopefully, or your own.
Yeah, so that's the only way in which I feel like it would be wasted on the young. Like the youth. Because you run around, you're being stupid, right? But for the elderly people, unless you're wise and feel like you would have done better with some mobile parts, some flexible, appendages. I just think being young is young and old is old.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think more than anything, like that's kind of just what that is.
And you can always make excuses. If you're old and you're upset and you're like, I would have done this or that if I would just move. And it's like, brother, you didn't do that when you could move. If I gave you the ability to move now, you wouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, very true.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
And some people you see those 100-year-olds running 100-yard dashes and shit like that. Some people just do this.
Yeah. My dad I don't know exactly where this has come from, but there is a painting in the basement that I do want. And it's just this old tribesman, maybe in Africa or something like that, just sitting around a fire with a bunch of little ones around him. And he's very into this idea that the elderly people have to continue to speak to young people.
Yeah.
Like that connection has to be made. And sometimes when you're young, you don't want to hear old ass people.
Yeah.
And sometimes I suppose when you're old, you don't want to fucking talk to young people.
I'm sure that's the worst thing.
Pisses you off that they don't care to listen at all. And you're just like, why am I even saying any of these things to you?
Yeah.
Right? Another fable is this owl. Owl's always been wise for some reason and all these things. But it's the owl has been in the forest with all these birds. And every time something has come that is going to be something dangerous, some dangerous force to the birds, the owl tries to let them know, like, hey, that's a human with a harpoon or a fucking gun. Like, stay away from them. They're going to be the death of you. Or this sort of plant, don't go over there and eat it. Like, trust me, like, this is going to be the death of you. These are nets. You don't want to get caught in one of these. And every one of those times, the birds have always just sort of laughed and like been like, oh, the owl thinks that he knows everything, whatever. And then they, eventually go and get caught by nets and shot by the guns and all these sort of things. And by the end of the story, the birds have sort of figured out that the owl kind of knew some shit this whole time, and then now go to talk to the owl, and the owl no longer speaks. The owl no longer speaks. It just looks at the rest of its kind and sort of contemplates them. That's all. Just looks at them, and that's a story for your ass.
Yeah, that's some shit right there.
Yeah,
when you need it, they don't want to talk.
It's like, y'all didn't want to listen. Like, I was speaking and no one cared. Like, now I don't care to try to divulge information. Now I'm just chilling. Now I'm just hanging out.
Yeah. And that's such a metaphor too with life and, parents. Think about all the shit my dad told me growing up and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And now I apply it to my life now. I'm like, oh, this is what he was trying to do, or this is how he was. Yeah. My dad passed away a few years ago, and I'm like, just nowadays, like you said, when you want to talk to him, they don't want to talk. And now where I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, oh, I just wish I could fucking call him and ask him, what would he do here? What would he do there? You can't talk, it's just, life is like that. But now you have to channel back and be like, all right, what would he have done here? What did he try to tell me in this situation?
Yeah, very true.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like, what would he have done? Yeah, Because sometimes their temperament is right for certain things and then just wrong for others. Like, there's certain things that I go to my dad for sure. Just to pick his brain and see like where his head is at with things. Because he can be very reasonable and then he can be very unreasonable.
Yeah, that's for sure. Sometimes you have to think of what's the opposite that they would have done. Oh, don't I want to handle this? Yeah,
it's like, do I want to scream at this person? And like, no.
Am I gonna call him a son of a bitch? No, not this time.
Yeah, like a friend of mine, their parents were at a supermarket, I believe, and for whatever reason, they don't like the manager of the store. They've never had a run-in with this person. Just whatever they've seen from them, whatever they heard, they have.
Don't like the cut of his jib.
Right. It's just like an ick about this person. Right. And the parents, they're getting whatever their groceries are, and they go up to the front, and the mom tries to pay, and I think she's off maybe 5 cents because one of the coins that she tried to give was Canadian. And the woman was like, I'm sorry, ma'am, like, this is a Canadian coin. I'm going to need 5 more cents. Yeah. And the mom went the fuck off on her. She was like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, you're going to make me try to pay 5 more cents? Like, you don't have 5 cents back there? Like, you can't just make the difference. And she was going crazy. And these parents were like, and then the dad he followed this up by like writing a complaint to corporate about this woman that was clearly racist because she wouldn't just like.
She was trying to keep her register right.
And now my friend who's hearing this story from her parents, she's like laughing. She's like, Mom, did you have 5 cents on you? Like, did you? She was like, of course I had the money on me, but that's not the fucking point. The point is this bitch is gonna. And she was like crying, laughing, just like. Those are my parents. Yeah. Like, they have no idea that they're crazy and that makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah. That's them. I would never go to them for advice on things like this. Exactly. But there's so many other things that I need from them. It's just social cues is not one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fascinating.
And it's funny how you realize that stuff about your parents as you get older. Oh. You start to see yourself more and more in your parents or see the parts of them in you. Yeah. It's funny.
And my mom hopefully make some recourse if possible.
One of my core memories growing up would just always be my mom driving. And her just kind of like muttering to herself, just all this shit that would like just ramble, her internal monologue, but it would just be external. And, she'd get upset. She'd be cussing this person out in her head and da-da-da-da-da. And now I'll catch myself having this same type of internal monologue, like as I'm driving or something. I'm like, oh my God, I sound just like mom right now.
That's hilarious.
Like shit that and sometimes you morph into that as you get older and as you unlock these next phases of life. It's funny.
Yeah. Some of those things are just so deeply ingrained.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, where did they pick that up?
What else you have going on today? What do you gotta
like after this?
Yeah.
Oh, I got a meeting at 2:30 with my. It's a phone call. We're enrolling my son in speech therapy. He's great vocabulary, talks great, talks like he has a Boston accent. It's the weirdest fucking thing ever. I have no idea where this came from. But yeah, he'll be like, daddy, let's get in the car. Where are the car keys, daddy? I'm like, what the fuck? Daddy, let's take out the garbage. I'm like, dude.
Something about the AR.
Yeah, the AR sounds like an age, all that stuff. That's about it. And then
okay.
Yeah, my wife is, we're getting the house painted, so my wife took the kids out of town for a couple of days so that people can do all that, and I stayed home to work, so.
Okay.
And try to work a lot over the next few days.
Okay, right on. Yeah. Well, it's about that time, so let's go ahead and get you on over to that meeting.
I appreciate it. This was awesome. This was nice.
I really do appreciate your energy.
Thank you. You too, man. I love it. It's a good vibe. I feel like we're on the same wavelength on a lot of things.
Very, very, as Mikey, Keon, and I have coined it, solid nigga activity.
There we go. I like that.
Happening.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
SNA. There we go.
SNA, goddammit.
What's Mikey doing? 1,000,000 miles? And I was talking to Miss Robin the other day.
Dude, he's just evolved.
Sorry, time out. Take it back. This motherfucker getting NBA refs fired. When I heard that on the podcast, I was like...
You're just like, what? You're just like, what is he?
Because I knew the story, and then to find, I'm a big sports fan, so obviously I knew the story, and then to find out it's Mikey behind this, I was like, this is the least surprising thing you could have told me that this man is up to right now. It's just, I feel like he lives an amazingly fascinating life.
Yeah, I think he's been one of these people that sees the world as very malleable, and he just that's the best way I can put it.
You know what it is, though? It's an example of he controls what he can control, and then you just let the rest go. Who cares what's going on out there? I got this 6 foot by 3 foot box of a human I can control, and let's run it from there.
And that's what he does. He's just running it.
Yeah.
He's just seeing like what he can do, and he's really, his brain is beautifully wired towards pattern recognition. So he's very easily acknowledging like what works, like what he has seen work in various things, and how to map that onto something else.
Exactly. And I think too, as we get older, like you say, you've been on this kind of philosophical quest your whole life without even realizing it until recently. It's like we learn to control these superpowers that we have when we get older. So now he's learned to control the superpower. So it's just like, what was it called when you go Super Saiyan? It's just unlocked.
Yeah, it was just chaos before. The way he puts it is like he was playing Grand Theft Auto, but before he was just free roaming,
just beating the shit out of people.
Just free roaming, and then he decided, let me start doing like the main missions and stuff like that. So I guess that's what he's doing. But some of these other things are side quests.
Yeah,
he's
killing
the side quests
that's
too.
Awesome. So what is it, like 7 hours to 8 hours to row that, or how long? No, it's 60 hours, right?
Yeah,
something crazy.
Yeah, he did like a 7-hour row the other day and sent us like the statistics, and he had burned like 6,500 calories doing it. I don't understand any of the stuff that he does.
Yeah.
He makes music on the side that he chops and screws stuff in interesting ways, and he's doing work with the podcast for me as well. And he's raising a small child, and he works as an engineer. I don't know.
He's got an engineer's mind, that's for sure. Yeah, oh, that's awesome. I ride my bike 6-7 hours sometimes, but you take breaks. You're not pedaling all the time. You're going downhill, but like a rower, you're just.
Well, I guess he has to take some so that he can fuel.
Oh, yeah,
because he has to continue.
That's the whole thing about endurance is just keep those calories sufficient. But that's why.
Anyway, good book that he recommends is called Endure. I forget the person's name now, but you'll be able to find it then. And I think reading books like that and anything by David Goggins unlocks something in people's minds where now they just can't stop trying to win as much as possible.
Yeah, I love David Goggins. I try not to. The only thing I don't like, he's big on negative self-talk. Try to get away from that.
Yeah,
try not to call myself a pussy more than a couple times a day.
Right.
But yeah, he will wake you up, dude. He'll be like, I got no cartilage in my knees. I just ran 800 miles, and you can't wake up. I'm like, you're right, David. I can get up. But I can set this alarm.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening.
Appreciate it.
Peace. Love you guys, man. Thank you for coming, man.
That was awesome. I needed that.
Fuck yeah.